Hello and welcome to the Vista. Today we have a very special guest, a radiant Nova, a sweet connoisseur, social media guru, an Esports Insider, and he excels at dropping it like it's hot.
Jesus.
Nathan Edmonds. How are
Mate,
we?
wow. Good man. Yeah, good. I've never had an intro like that, so I'll take it. I don't agree with most of those things, but I'll take it. I'll take it, mate. I haven't heard Radiant Nova in a while too, man. Oh, that's my gamer tag on like League of Legends and Valorant still and all the games, but like yeah, it's strange to hear it in a while.
Sorry, I didn't mean to out you if you were trying to get away from that.
No, I'm not. I'm not trying to escape my demons here. No. It's good. It's good.
I love it. I love it. But look, let's jump straight in, right? You, if for the people who are listening who might not know who you are, you give them a quick rundown of
I'll do
life.
the real, yeah, I'll do the real quick version. So I started, I guess, been in the industry now, 9 years, I would say, because I guess technically 2015. I started off by starting my own team, and when I say team, it was like a clan with friends for at least the first 2 years because I was 15 years old. I mean, it wasn't anything, it wasn't earning any money. It was just at the same time I was playing in one of the teams because I think I had that little bit of delusion that all us owners have, where like, oh, maybe I could be a player, you know? Where no, I can't. So I've
Every
got to
week.
focus on something else. Yeah, like I put so much time into it, but I was like, look, clearly not the route for me, so I'm going to instead focus on something which maybe I might be good at. And I think back then I was, watching the hexes and the nade shots of the world, and I was like, oh, fuck, like, it's so cool having your own thing. Like, I wanted to go pursue it. So the first 2 years, we really didn't do much other than just compete in mostly Call of Duty, and that was my focus. That was my bread and butter, and that's all we did. And quickly figured that, like, look, for a short period, for the first 2 years, everyone remembers Radiant for like the last year, which is like great because like that is when it was at its best. But like the 3 years prior were painful, because we were hardly winning, we were hardly doing much, we weren't really impressive. Like we didn't really have great talent or great teams, and we weren't competing at a super high level. So I had to quickly adapt and learn like how can I encourage sponsors to come with us because we're not the winning team. However, at least in amateur esports at that point, there wasn't many people doing social media well. So I think I saw a little bit. I think I wasn't, going out to try and make social media amazing. All I was doing was speaking in a tone of voice where everyone could relate to. Like we weren't afraid to have fun with it. Like everyone else was being super professional because they were like, "Oh, this is an organization. We must be professional. Like we must be super serious." But I mean, and maybe I missed that because of my young age, and I was like, "Oh, I'll just go about this way." But that seemed to really react with the audience and got, that's why Radiant at least put us on the map initially. Then that attracted great talent towards us, and therefore then we were able to win great things. I mean. I'm going to list them all off because I'll miss some, but I mean, some of my favorites were like, I mean, it's crazy to see what they do now. Like CleanX, I think he's still called CleanX Toby. I don't know if he's still in the Call of Duty League and what that looks like, but I mean, Toby joined us in like end of 2018 and basically won every amateur tournament that he competed with us. But I think the thing about Toby too was that I recognized really early is that he was super mature and like look, we're all based in Call of Duty to some degree, so we appreciate that a lot of Call of Duty. Call of Duty is known for that. It's known for its drama and its beef and it's wicked. It is sick, but it's also a nightmare as an owner because you have to deal with these fucking drama queens all the time. However, Toby was like super mature, and I was like, he's wicked and mature. Like, what kind of creature is this? Like how where can we make more of them? But yeah, it attracted more people initially, and then yeah, we won a couple of things. We got some tournaments under our belt. We went to loads of different lands. We started expanding esports, Halo, Counter Strike, all those good things. And yeah, I credit it for my entire career because I mean that on my CV, I was able to take to then Esports Insider and led me to Gfinity to Excel to Hot Job to HitMarker to working doing bits for some clients being like Riot Games and some of the big banks in the UK and helping deliver on their esports things all came from and all stemmed from my time at Radiant. And yeah, it was stressful, and yeah, it was a nightmare, and yeah, it was. so difficult to explain to the parents and everything else because my brother's a doctor, so it's like there's no really competition when it comes to the traditional route and why I should have gone to university or should have done really good in A levels and why were my GCSEs pretty average. Like it was difficult conversation, and I was a bit of a stubborn kid, but like. It worked out in the end, thankfully. If it didn't, I'd be fucked. I wouldn't be anywhere here today. But thankfully, it did. A little bit of luck is important too. But yeah, that's the TLDR. Without going into the other bits, yeah, I mean, I love speaking about Radiant when I can because it's a nice little nostalgic throwback, and it is cool to see because in the moment you don't appreciate all that you've done and you know the great people that you've met and some people that I'm still friends with today, which is just crazy. And it's a mad journey to go on.
Do you miss it?
Yeah, oh, absolutely, yeah. But I mean, the question gets asked me once a month, mate. Would I start it back up again? And no, like I'd be grey by the time I started it back up. Like it's stressful and it's expensive, as you know, Jack. And an organization is no easy feat. And back then, it was far less expensive than it is now. Do you know what I mean? So I can't imagine what the costs have to incur at this stage now, since the industry's elevated. And I mean, Call of Duty would be totally off limits because, at least in my mind, the franchising, and we're sure we'll get into it, is a heated passion project of mine because I think they killed the scene overnight doing it. But like yeah, I don't think I would unless I had the right investment come in. Then yeah, potentially. And there was a conversation like about 8 months ago where like there was a potential investor that would throw some money at it, but then I was like, fuck, what am I doing? like this would be such a curveball and such a risk. And right now I feel like I'm at a steady path. So yeah, I do miss it. I miss it so much, dude. Yeah, it just wouldn't make sense to bring it back.
I mean, the boys will jump back into Radiant in a little bit, but there's one thing I wanted to bring up, and that's your dog. I'm a big dog fan.
She's here now. She's here, panting away, because it's above 15 degrees in London, so she can't bear it. You know, she's yeah, she's great, mate. Do you have a dog? You got pets?
Yeah, I got a dog as well. She's out on a walk.
What breed?
She's a Tibetan Terrier.
Oh, little cutie.
Little bit smaller than yours, I think.
Yeah, a little bit smaller. I mean, everyone needs a dog, dude. Everyone needs a dog. They're fucking amazing, aren't they? Like, she makes me so happy. She's wicked, absolutely wicked. And we live in southwest London too. I don't think I could live in anywhere else in London because it doesn't feel like London, to be honest. There's more greenery like around where I am than there is in my little hometown near Birmingham. Like, it's nuts. It's so pretty. She loves it. So, well, I think she does.
I think that's the thing. You do need the green space around you, right? And like. Same where I am, like in the east. I'm right in between Victoria Park and the Olympic Park, and like
yeah, Victoria Park's wicked. I've taken her there. It's lovely.
The dream. So if there's any events at the Copper Box and you need a dog sitter,
Check you out. Yeah, there you go. unless you're at the event, unless it's Call of Duty event, then you won't be able to dog sit.
We can leave it with my missus. It'd be fun.
Oh yeah, sorted. There you go. Promo done.
Dog party.
You should get on Rover. There's an app called Rover, which I book through. To be fair, it's like it's expensive in London, mate. It is bank breaking in London. I go for like the £25 a night ones, which is still really really expensive. But everyone else starting at like £40 a night. It's crazy, mate. Absolutely crazy.
Yeah, we send her to doggy daycare once a week. We both work from home. Spend it.
Yeah, it's not cheap. It's not cheap. It's fucking city, man.
And I guess outside of esports and gaming, is there any hobbies that you have, or is it just like we're all really gamers, right? So
yeah, I'm really not interested, man. I don't do anything really other than I mean, I sound like a freak, but yeah, I'd like the old. I love walking with Lux, and I love going to Richmond Park, and that's all great. But I really like doing the things that I'm passionate about, and that makes me sound a bit like a psychopath. But like, and I don't want to sound like that, you know, Navy SEAL grind set like style. But like, I genuinely like if I'm passionate about my work, I really like doing that. And yeah, I am a gamer. So at the end of the day, I do play a lot of games. Right now, I'm banging out Skyrim again. And that makes me happy. But yeah, that's really, other than like the only sport I'm even considerably alright at is swimming. So like when I can, I'll do that. But and then the gym and all that stuff to keep healthy. But otherwise, there's not really many hobbies going on.
I do see you right at like 11:30 at night, like looking for free for Valorant, and I'm like,
I know, I'm
youngsters,
like
man.
the degenerate. I know.
I'm in bed by then. Like, been in bed for
You're an
2
old man
hours.
now. You're an old man now, dude.
I love it. I love it. And I guess, Pop, do you want to dive into history a little?
I mean, I think it's about time. I mean, the first thing got for you, Nathan, is I think we heard you say it about Radiant gave you your start in esports. What made you start it, and especially at the age of 15?
I think, yeah, it kind of goes alluded to it a little bit earlier. Hex and what he did with Optic, like it was so cool watching it back in there. It's like, fuck, I want my own thing. I really want my own thing. And don't get me wrong, there was 2 organizations that nobody will ever know about before Radiant that I started that lasted about 2 months and failed. Like, but you know, that's the beauty of the front facing what you do, right? And Radiant was the third one. And I started with a friend. He was like more the sniping community, so he was able to edit. And I mean, if you were able to edit back in 2015, you were some mastermind. So like getting access to that was great. And then a lot of my friends were like designers and players, so it was very easy to get in. But I started it, yeah, for main 2 reasons. One, because like I wanted to run my own thing, because I thought like, oh, it'd be really cool to be a Teemo, and it looks like really cool to lead, to have a couple teams and be super passionate about that. And then secondly, to be completely honest, I wasn't good enough to play. That's just genuinely the reality of it. I won maybe one EGL Sunday or whatever it was, but that didn't really count because it was like the last one of Advanced Warfare, so nobody was playing because they just wanted to get ready for the next game. So like I count it, but not many people would. And I just wasn't good enough, man. I was fine, and I was able, like, if you put me with a good team, that I'd do alright, but I was no star player. And I was a bit of a, don't know if the term still exists, a jetpacker. I was a little bit of a, I was absolute dog shit at Ghosts, and I was like, oh my god, because it went for Black Ops 2, and I was alright. Went to Ghost, and I was like, do I need to just sell everything and give up? Like, this is awful. And then Advanced Warfare came out, and I was like, hey, I was the best on my team. And I was like, let's go, like it's wicked. And then yeah, from that point it got slowly worse, unfortunately. But yeah, so I started in Advanced Warfare because that's 2015, right? I think that's when Advanced Warfare was out, if I remember correctly. We started it towards the end of AW, and then yeah, went into some great Call of Duties for the next few years until Infinite Warfare, which is, boys, do you agree Infinite Warfare is complete dog shit? Like, I feel like that's some people look at me like a nutter. That's a really unpopular
I might
opinion.
have to walk away.
You think it's wicked?
I hated it at the time,
Yeah.
but now I look back on it, like with some of the CODs we've had of recent times, I'm like, I
Yeah.
wouldn't mind that now because it's something different. Whereas I feel like the last few years has been very much the same and not too good. But at the time, Infinite Warfare, I refused to play it and played Modern Warfare. Was it Modern Warfare Remastered out that came out with it, weren't it? I played that in my IRLs, yeah. So I weren't a big Infinite Warfare fan, but I wouldn't mind seeing something like it.
I was a big fan.
Really?
Yeah, a lot of people loved it.
Really big fan.
Jack, don't tell me you're a fan. No?
No, I actually didn't play Infinite Warfare at all.
Dodged a bullet.
I took like 3 years off COD completely.
Yeah. I just didn't like it, dude. I didn't like it. The only good thing about it, in my mind, was that Optic won their first champ. So it was iconic for that moment, I think, because they had choked so many in history. But yeah, I think that genuinely killed off my whole interest in Call of Duty, and then partnered up with, in fairness, was it a year later? Then franchising was introduced, wasn't it? Which was it for me. And I can talk about this. We're going to skip. Like, I'm going to be slightly controversial because I'm sure he still works at Activision Blizzard, but I won't name a name. I remember going over to and as press to the last Call of Duty, the last CWL, right? Because it's CDL now, isn't it? The last CWL Worlds champs, that's what you call it, not League of Legends Worlds. In Cali, and like it was wicked. But I was there from Esports Insider to ask questions, so all my questions were focused on like, are you excited for franchising? Their press team did not allow me for any chance to ask any questions because they wanted it all focused about champs there and then, and wouldn't let any questions about the upcoming franchise league. So I was fucked for content. Other than I was able to reach out to the people that I knew, like Dylan, COD, which I don't know if I haven't seen him in.
Oh, he disappeared.
He's disappeared. Yeah, really. Yeah, because he was wicked, wasn't he? Cracked little fella. And then Toby too, and then like Scraps, like the twins. Like, I was able to bring them outside and do interviews there, but like that was it. Like, there was no other content I was allowed to do, which was nuts. And yeah, I mean, you guys, I haven't followed Call of Duty too closely in a while, so you guys will be able to tell me more about what the scene's like. But
I mean, there's barely any of that sort of content anymore at all. Like outside of you got like Breaking Point and stuff like that, but there's not the sit down and do player interviews and things. Well, not that I see anyway. And we're a bit detached, aren't we?
Yeah, I mean, it's not there, isn't a like say Breaking Point do it like the big superstar players, but other than that, like there isn't too much of it.
And what is that? What's that one that Scump does? Is that Breaking Point? Is that something else?
So they do the watch parties and that, right?
Okay, yeah.
It does the breakdown as well.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
Like review CDL matches.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? There's such a disconnect between like CDL and what we compete in challenges now, when it was meant to be like two pillars that feed each other.
Yeah. It's stressful. Activision Blizzard, they shouldn't be allowed to set up a franchise league. They've cocked it twice, and I've seen, and like was it yesterday that they've announced some changes to it to improve, and yeah, rightly so. That was way long overdue. But yeah, I mean, I'd like to know your guys' thoughts. So we're going way into just COD focus now, but this is great. Into, I mean, the franchising league. What was the actual question I was going to ask? I was actually chatting to one of my clients yesterday about it, because he was also passionate about Call of Duty. Is that it is absurd that Call of Duty isn't one of the biggest esports in the world, because it does have the biggest social presence, and anyone argues with that, you're stupid. Like there is not a single esports player that has a bigger profile than Scump or a Nade Shot. Like they are massive on social media, specifically Twitter. They are massive, but it never correlates to the esports audience watching. Like Call of Duty is still one of the most highest sold and highest grossing games every single year. There are 100+ million players playing every single year. Yet they struggle to scrape like 250,000, views on a great live final champs like grand finals. It's nuts to me that Acti Blizzard like don't wake up to see how much potential there is to build this all in. It's crazy. It has no excuse not to be one of the biggest esports.
Yeah, like many people don't class it as tier 1 now, and like I think the way that Acti Blizzard look at it is that they will see it as a standalone product and it's losing money. So like it's why they took the YouTube deal, for example, when it thrives on Twitch. They take it just to try and lower the losses, right? When esports should be a marketing tool and it should be subsidized by the business. You see it in League of Legends, right? Okay, they have a franchise that they pump a load of money into their esports. And that's the way it should be.
Yeah. And
like in League of Legends, you've got a clear path in the sense that you have your regional leagues, and you have the European leagues, and then you have pro. And players actually get picked up to go into the big leagues.
Yeah. And the big issue I don't see people talk about enough is where Call of Duty was before the franchising league. It was fully fueled by these, grassroots community-led like tournaments. That's what the community was. Overwatch was slightly different because it was like a manufactured esport that was thrown into a franchise, and it was great until they fucked that too somehow. Like it was wicked, but it was built to be a franchised esport. Call of Duty wasn't built to be a franchise esport. So just saying, next year everything changes, and Toby CleanX didn't get picked up, he would never play against the best again. And even at Champs, like he went on to do wicked things like Singularity, right? He beat some of the best teams. That should always be a thing. And I appreciate, I used to be a franchise hater because of all this, but like my time at Excel, I can appreciate the value of franchising. I do think that is the future of esports, but like make sure your amateur to pro system is absolutely super robust, and Call of Duty's wasn't. So it collapsed overnight, and I mean everyone that was, I guess, responsible, had teams in it and invested in it, like basically left overnight as well. So the amateur ecosystem was completely ruined, unless you were in an NA, which already had a built-up collegiate system, so which is still not great, I guess, over there. But it was dead overnight, and it's crazy to me that nobody was able to point that out. Also, not considering their franchise model forces you to change the name. Imagine going to a legacy brand and going, oh, by the way, you're going to have to pay 25 million. You can't use your own branding. You You have to pick a state in America, even if you're a European team, and like you have to follow this as rules. When's that a good offer? How is that ever a good offer? Do you know what I mean? You've just listed all negatives. That is crazy. And yeah, FaZe and 100 Thieves were super cheeky with their names, but rightly so. I mean, you need to keep some kind of bloody brand in there, because who cares about XYZ location? Like, I don't care about the location. It is a fully digital game. Like, why would I ever get passionate about? Sure, I had to follow the London team, but like realistically, there was some British players over in all the different teams in the US. So it's like it was nuts. It was nuts. Like it will go down as one of the. I can't say that, but I can't say what I want to say. But it'll go down the record books, and we'll look back on that as that's not what to do. And yeah, it needs to be adapted. And yeah, good what they announced yesterday, but that should have been done many moons ago. Still a bit late.
No objections from me. I mean, I'm glad that everything that I normally say has come out of his mouth, because sometimes I've been going crazy. Oh, that's incredible. Knowing what you now know after that tangent, if you were to start raiding again, what would you do differently?
Oh, that is a good question. Probably seek sponsorships earlier. Took me a while to really understand the commercial world and what that looks like, and still, I mean, we managed to secure some sponsors. Looking back, God knows how, because it was so like some of the decks I look back on. That some of the decks weren't bad, but some of the decks were awful. And the conversations I was having, I was just, these conversations typically when I was 18, 19 too. So still quite young and understanding it all, and just faking it till I make it type of thing, and picking up buzzwords that I'd learned from my friends or some other podcasts that I listened to, and just trying to like act like I knew way more than I did. But we're able to secure some decent work. I mean, we got one sponsor that was able to pay for like the whole Las Vegas house, which I remember like it became a bit of a meme within the Call of Duty scene. We weren't the first to do it, but we were like the last ones that got away with it before everyone else got rinsed, thankfully. Is that if you were to get a team to sponsor a house and call it a house, everyone would just rinse you, because they were like, oh, it's a rented Airbnb, like how, what are you doing, this and that. But it's like you're overthinking it, right? Because it's quite fun. It's like you should just support that. It was wicked, but we got away with it at Las Vegas because it had a pool. So I think people were like, oh, it's cool enough that we'll let it go. But I remember, I'm not to go on a mad tangent, guys, but I saw that BEAVO kid. I did not know.
I was just thinking,
mate. It was meant, mate. One of my mates messaged me and was like, "Do you know BEAVO used to own like Liza Esports?" And it instantly rang a bell. And then I typed his in, like Brandon Bevis, and then like we had tweeted each other back and forth. And I was like, "What? That is crazy!" Like, and I remember there was the whole beef of like he announced like the London penthouse or something.
I remember that. I remember that video.
The Liza penthouse, right? Yeah, and everyone rinsed him. But I was like, because that was funny, because like I remember back in the time, I was like, how did we get away with the Vegas house? But like these are getting rinsed now. But yeah, that side tangent. But yeah, I think what I'd approve is just commercially how I'd approach sponsors, get money, and yeah, that would lead to obviously more investment within the business, and I would be able to do cooler and better things, I guess, initially.
If you got any ideas, let me know.
Always give you a shout, man. Always give you a shout. Got loads of this Call of Duty stuff.
Oh, I love that. So Radiant was hot on content, vlogs, so much more. Was that a conscious effort of that, or was it just something that came natural?
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely an effort. I am no good in front of a camera in terms of like I'm no personality, I'm no content creator, no streamer, but like the people around me, I was able to, at least the good thing, I was able to lead it and set direction, and they'd do the work. I was very fortunate that a good friend of mine, the Caramel Gamer, was based in my hometown, and then he reached out to me, and it was only after a couple of conversations like, oh wait, you're actually 10-minute drive away from me. So we were able to do content, and the people made a conscious effort for the content creators we interact with to be in a 2-hour kind of driving zone to where I lived back in the Midlands, to make sure that me and my friend were able, to take our little Canon cameras to go over there, shoot some content, and like do little interviews and stuff like that. So like it was a conscious effort to build like a little team, because I'm very lucky too that they were, and this was the norm back then. I don't know what it's like these days, but it's very norm to like join a team. We'd give you some benefits pro bono, you'd give us some benefits, and like there wouldn't be any pay involved, but we would able to get you a free chair from G2 Mega, like free X gamer, like whatever you want, and that was really cool back then. That was like a really cool thing. I think these days it's you've got to like build out a proper package. But we were fortunate that like the people we did work with, the few people that we did work with were yeah, really good to collaborate with. And then that, from the outside looking back at it, made it look quite exclusive, which therefore made more people want to get involved and kind of attract more names. So we got the, I mean, I've been friends with Wars for many years, but like getting a Wars involved was great because it was like, oh, he just won the Blackout KFC Championship thing, and it was like it was hot off that. Then we were able to get like Louis CM involved, and it was great. Like these names that like from what I know are on to great things now. Again, I don't follow Call of Duty too closely, but when I load up Twitch, so I know Louis is seems that he's been doing alright. But it's like we were fortunate that. And I guess I do panels in schools sometimes, and like one of my slides is "Don't be a dickhead," and like I just think we were just not shit people. Do you know what I mean? Like we were not scummy people. We didn't miss payments. We didn't fuck people over at events. Like, and that's a common thing it seems to be in the esports world. So like we yeah, I guess build friendships by not being freaks, which helped. It's always good. I guess
a little tangent off that as well. So like back in 2022, I messaged Nathan, and like this is when I'd been thinking about starting something. And I messaged Nathan and I was like, have you got any advice? And he's like, just don't be a dickhead. And it's inspired.
Is that what I said?
Yeah. Like you put quite a lot of detail into it, but that was at the end. And like that's inspired like on all of our code of conducts. Literally the finishing line that both of these guys are signed.
Yeah.
Don't be a dick.
Don't be a dickhead, yeah. Nice. I'm glad I'm still yapping on about that. But it's actually taken from the All Blacks, the New Zealand rugby team. That's one of their codes to live by. And my friend told me because he used to work there, and I was like stuck, because I was like, that seems like such an obvious thing, but people don't get it. People have egos, man, don't they? And it's like there's I'm no better than anybody else. It doesn't matter your fucking Twitter following or your LinkedIn connections or what your CV looks like. That is ludicrous. Like it's completely invaluable into the fact that if you're going to treat some other person in the industry, you're going to look down on them. Like, wicked, well done, mate. Because you're well done. Because if that person goes on to do great things, you're fucked. Do you know what I mean? So like you'll absolutely become calling back. I don't see the value in it. It's nuts to me. It doesn't matter whatever I go on to do. I mean, helping people is invaluable because I can list so many people that helped me. So many people, and I maybe didn't even go about it the right way. Maybe came across rude and had all those things. But at least the path I've been on now seems ludicrous to be disrespectful to people or treat people differently because they're maybe not at the stage you're at now. It's mental.
Just treat everyone how you'd like to be treated, right?
Seems pretty basic, man.
I absolutely love that. And then, I mean, you work for XL as well. What was that like?
Yeah, XL was wicked. I remember getting an email. So I was friends with, technically they were competitors back in the day because I mean they were one of the teams. We beat them, and I keep telling the brothers that we beat them in a Halo event in Denver. Which was wicked, and we placed top 16 like among like Optic and Envy. That's when it was like, oh shit, like this might be something. But Joel and Kieran, the founders and brothers, I don't think they were the business anymore, but they emailed me and were like, look, could you send me your CV? And I was like, oh well, that's a bit, that only can lead to something surely. Then the next week they called me and were like, look, would like you to move down to London in the next 2 weeks, like in Twickenham. Would you be able to do that? And I was like, well, I'll try. And this was start of 2020. So I asked Sam at Esports Insider, I was like, can I leave now and go do this? And he was like, of course you can. Moved down to Twickenham, lived in like one of the player houses there. And then 2 weeks later, the good old COVID hit, and it was like the ultimatum: do you want to stay or do you want to go? And I was like, I'd rather be at home during this situation. And then 2 years later, we've rebranded. We're part of different esports. We've got a different office near Old Street in central London. It was wicked. I mean, I joined very early on and took on loads of work, and I don't think I appreciated at the time how much I took on. But it was like a 24-hour job. It felt like, because there was definitely no structure or hours to it. But by the end of it, I was able to build out a team, and I learned so much, and I was able to really take all that knowledge and go elsewhere with it. And yeah, I mean that is probably the second most pivotal thing in my career in terms of leading me on to everything else. Because without that experience, I wouldn't be where I am today. And yeah, I mean, I'm a true believer, and I don't think it's controversial, but I don't think people like to hear it. I'm a true believer in just being thrown in the deep end to learn things. Like, and I appreciate everyone.
Same here.
Yeah, people learn things differently, right? But I mean, being thrown in, and this is why being an amateur organization has some benefits, is because you don't have a limited funds. Like, you've got to be a bit more cost effective with things, and that makes you think smarter. It makes you come up with approaches, and this is why some of the amateur teams do better content than some of the big teams, because they don't overthink these things. They don't have to have 16 strategy meetings about it and get 20 partner approvals. They just go ahead and do it. And like that is one of the mantras I guess I live by just like, if you want to learn something, just go and try it. Like, everyone, and it's so cliche when people, and I hate the motivational videos that like, you should embrace failure, but you fucking should. Like, you shouldn't be scared of it. It's just you do it, and it's okay to fuck up. I've fucked up so many times, so many times. A million stories I could tell you throughout all the businesses that I've worked with where I've genuinely messed up, and that's cost the business. There's so many cases, but they're learning lessons, and they're really, really valuable learning lessons, because you make sure you don't do it again, and you don't repeat those things. So yeah.
Incredible.
Quality. And then one final one from me. I mean, what was the learning process like switching from working on Radiant to working for an org?
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't too much. I think the biggest crossover was that I had to learn League of Legends like overnight, and that is one hell of a feat of a thing. I get it all now, but I mean, my girlfriend's trying to get into it, and it's like, how do I explain? Where do you start with League of Legends? The fact that is one like the biggest esport in the world makes no sense, because it is so confusing to anyone that doesn't get it. It makes no sense that it's so big. But yeah, there was tons of crossover. I think I just had to. Excel taught me the professional side. I think like Radiant, I was able to be crazy with the tone of voice and have fun and know how to engage an audience. Excel taught the professionalism and okay, our player's done this and we fucked up. Here's how to approach a bit of a PR nightmare, and here's how to do that. Because, I mean, when you work for an esports org, that's a guarantee. There's going to be things like that. So it taught me more the professional stuff, and then it taught me the partner deliverables. So we worked with the BT, we worked with EE, we worked with Chupa Chups and Sony and all these big brands. So I understood better how to deliver the professional sponsorship and partnership deliverables and what that looks like. And then stakeholder management, I mean, is invaluable. There are so many lessons I've heard from all those different things, from internal, external, managing expectations and all that. So it taught me, like, I got the real basic bare bones at Radiant, and then Excel only developed on that, and then everything else further was able to really be a bit more senior with the role and build out all those skills.
Oh, incredible. We've literally only got like 3 minutes left.
We've got 3 minutes, I know.
I would love to get you back, because I feel like we could just talk for ages. You probably got so many stories. Quinn, is there any... Sorry, that is the dog crying.
What's she crying? What have you done to her?
My girlfriend just came back in and then walked back out again.
I can't be doing that. Yeah, I can't be doing that now.
That's a toxic relationship.
Yeah, how dare she? She's going batter on her toys now.
Honestly, she'll come in and just rub her face all over stuff. I don't know what's going on. Dogs are strange, mate.
It's cute.
Hey, Quinn, is there one question that we can get a quick answer from before we...
Yeah, we could. So moving more to the present side, you started and run the SweetCabin. I want to quickly know, what has been your biggest challenge?
Customers, for sure. Yeah, they're difficult. And I don't feel like I'm that person to be. Well, I'm definitely not that person as an introvert. Like, if my Mackey's order's wrong, then it is what it is, But if I make the mistake by telling my mum or something, she'll fucking call them up and complain, and it's ludicrous, because like that, I can never think of a world where I do those things. But I appreciate, I can see the angle. You've paid for something, you've not got what you want. I get it. The thing is, SweetCabin, look, we during the peaks, there's probably about 5%, doesn't matter what delivery company you use, there will be issues. It will not arrive. There will be problems. The reality is it's kind of not our fault. It's the delivery company's fault. But at least the biggest lesson I've learned is just to remove ego from everything. Like, and how I do that is if someone's complaining, I put myself in their shoes and appreciate that they've paid, fucking whatever money for whatever order. Like, I appreciate it didn't arrive. They'll feel burnt by that, and I can appreciate that. So that's how I try to look at it. And some days there's some real nasty emails, and all I do is just come back the next day and look at those and with a fresh mind. So I don't respond passionately. It's because that's one thing I noticed at Radiant, which is that passion did get involved, because it's my baby. It's like, how can I not get passionate about something like that? But at SweetCabin, the first thing I said, especially when the first complaint come in, I was like, whoa, this is a fucking difficult thing to tackle. So that's the first thing I highlighted, was that I need to remove ego from this, and I need to approach every situation with just kindness, and appreciate them for what they've come to me with, and try to solve it as much as I can. So that is customers are difficult. They're really difficult, and you have to that is the biggest part of our business is delivering for customers. So yeah, that'd be it. I'll wrap it up there because I know we've run out of time, so I don't want to yap anymore.
No, incredible, but honestly, that like 40 minutes or whatever has absolutely flown by.
Yeah.
I can only thank you for taking the time to come on.
Thanks, guys, for having me. Appreciate it. Let's definitely do like a part 2 or something, or just like catch up without a podcast, because I'd love to talk about all things Call of Duty. I don't get the excuse to talk about it anymore, to be honest, because I'm not really involved in it. So yeah, it's always fun.
Anytime, we're keen. We're keen.
Yeah,
Of course.
Love it. Well, thank you for listening, and until next time.